Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together, we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Before diving into the episode, I wanted to invite you to head on over to my Patreon account. I would love your support, and I'm thrilled to have this beautiful community space where we can do yoga together, meditate together, and you'll get access to exclusive content. Get ready for some private Zoom Q&As, free printable art, meditation recordings, and more. Follow the link in the show notes to get started, or head on over to any of my social media channels or my website, wildyogatribe.com, to hang out, get to know each other better, and find out more about all the support and resources available to you. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Namaste, family, and welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Yangchen Lhamo onto the show today. She is a yoga teacher and studio owner in Bhutan. So she teaches Hatha yoga, meditation, and Ashtanga Vinyasa. And she actually completed her 200-hour yoga teacher training in Rishikesh in January 2020 and her 300-hour again in Rishikesh in 2022. But what I love and I'm so impressed by is that she opened her yoga studio, Yoga Yangchen, in the capital city of Bhutan in September 2020. So that was the same year she got certified. That's so inspirational. I'm excited to ask her more about that and all of the amazing social causes she supports and what yoga has brought into her life. So thank you so much, Yangchen, for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much, Lily, for having me and giving me this opportunity to be on your amazing and great podcast. I'm so happy, excited. Thank you.
Me too. Happy to have you. So, Yangchen, just to open the podcast, how about you share with us how yoga first came into your life?
I first got introduced yoga, especially in Bhutan itself, because yoga is very new in Bhutan, and then there are only few people practicing it. Then it gradually started learning through YouTube. And then slowly when I was working in one of the 5-star luxury hotels in Bhutan, which is well-being inclusive, there we had one yoga teacher, and as well as traditional medicinal doctor. And she used to teach yoga there, and she personally taught me and introduced really brief into yoga, and I really got passionate and it really piqued my interest. So I decided to, go to India to get professionally trained, even if it's for the self-practice. That's how I really got introduced to yoga.
Wow. I would never have guessed that yoga in Bhutan wasn't too popular because you share borders with India, Nepal, Bangladesh is pretty close, China to the north. But I guess your border doesn't technically touch Nepal, but since you're so close to India and Nepal, I would have imagined that it would have been more popular there and it would have kind of a long history of yoga being present. Is that not the case at all?
I would say that through my experience and then research done in Bhutan, yoga has been practiced by very yogis and yoginis in Bhutan. Like normal people like us would never practice yoga here in Bhutan because it's like really secretive practice, right? So it was never shown to people unless India, they really modified yoga and then they wanted to share it to common people. But where in Bhutan, there wasn't such practice. It was like if you want to really practice yoga, you really have to go through a certain process and then only you can able to practice that yoga. So that's why yoga is not really popular in Bhutan.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know that in India, definitely the Gurukul system, like living with the guru, like one student per guru or very small amounts, and it would take decades to really progress in the practice. That certainly has changed. It's been modernized. It's been packaged in a way that's accessible for lay people, for everyday people, like you said.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion on how you feel about yoga being changed in this way?
It's blessings to us, right? Like normal people like us, which we are always busy in our day-to-day life. So I think we could never really practice to that extent, that the very, very high level of yoga. So that requires a lot of time, energy, and dedication and commitment from your side as well. People like us, common people, we don't have time and dedication and commitment within us. So that's why the yoga modification of yoga which we are practicing right now, it's a way to balance our day-to-day lives, right? Our emotions. In that way, I feel that's really helpful to people like us.
Oh, absolutely. We are very lucky. I do not feel any resentment or any kind of sadness. I guess, suppose maybe a little. That tradition has been reduced to what it is today. I don't know if it still is happening, in that the student lives with the guru and in the way that it was before, having a lot of layers and kind of secrets that unfold. And if you read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, like, there's many advanced stages of yoga that are pretty phenomenal and extraordinary. And I don't know if those are really being passed down, or I don't know, because whenever I've gone to India, I've studied as well. I've done some training. I know you have too, Yangchen, that it just feels like it's that packaged yoga meant for 200 hours, 300 hours, or 50 hours. You're there for a course and you're learning certain modules, and it feels more like a school. But of course, I don't have the ability to go for 10 years and study with one guru in India and let go of all of my life and just dedicate to that either. I don't know. I hope it still is going on, but I know I probably couldn't commit to that myself.
Bhutan, yes, still people, they do practice here, the guru and then the teacher and then student, right? We still have the tradition and then culture here in Bhutan.
Okay, good. And I would also love to hear about just your passion in life, about what lights you up, what excites you. It can be about yoga or anything else.
The passion in my life is to be able to make a difference in both people's and animals' lives, which I've been doing right now. Through yoga, I'm able to help people to change their mindset, to change their lifestyle. And with my social cause, I'm able to improve the well-being of animals.
Amazing. And what is your social cause? Let's share that with our listeners.
My main social cause is Dog House Bhutan, which is founded by myself and my very dear friend Nadine Ko from Switzerland in the year 2021. She came to my yoga class to learn yoga, and we ended up talking hours about the passion that we share, same thing, right? About to improve the well-being of animals, especially dogs here in Bhutan. We have more number of farming or stray dogs here in Bhutan. So we thought, like, we could do something to help them, and we came up with an idea of building dog houses so that they at least can protect themselves from wind, cold, and snow, and then heat, so that they also feel loved and cared as well. So that is my social cause so far. But I also feed 30 free roaming dogs every day, once a day meal to them, and I take care of them when they're sick. And I also educate people on how to coexist and live peacefully with animals, and then also do some advocacy as well. These are the things, social cause, I do on my regular daily basis.
Oh, that's so amazing. And I love that you are caring for animals and dogs and making sure that they have homes. And I know taking care of dogs when they're sick, like, that's a huge commitment and takes so much love and time and care. And I'm really grateful you're doing that for the animals in your life and community. So I was also wondering, as a whole, how do you feel that yoga and social causes benefit your community in Bhutan?
Yes, I feel actually the Bhutan really needs that at this stage of time, because during the pandemic and after the pandemic, most of us, people around the world, not only in Bhutan, have been going through a lot of stressful situation, and then they've been trying to balance themselves, and so many of them need help with that. And then through my yoga classes, which I'm giving to people, could really help them balance their work-life balance, and then they can bring a little bit of stability into their lives. In that way, I'm giving back to my community by improving the well-being of people, because that's an asset of the country. And also, I'm giving back to the community through yoga. I'm also giving by doing social cause, because I'm trying to help our government, our NGOs, or CSO to improve the well-being or welfare of animals as well.
I love that you're taking yoga out of the studio and off of the mat, and you're thinking, how can I use my gifts and my passions and serve all sentient beings? I think that's just such a beautiful thing to do, an act of service, Do you have other other students or other teachers who work at your yoga studio who help you in these social causes or have started other causes themselves?
I have some friends, and then other people who share similar interests, right? We formed a group, and then people in different organizations. And then, yes, of course, my yoga students have been donating to my social causes. Some people donate in cash, some people donate in kind, some people support. I think these supports, their supports has really kept that social cause going. I'm able to feed the dogs. I'm able to take care of the animals, right? I'm able to build houses. I think without their support, I would not have been able to achieve what I've achieved, or would not have been able to do what I've been doing. Yes, I'm so grateful that they are there in my life to support.
Yeah, it is amazing what a yoga community can do and can build. And I love how you fostered and created that for your community. What was it like for you to get your yoga training in January 2020 and then all of a sudden open a studio in September of that same year? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Did you have the support of your family? I'd love to hear more about that and how you made that decision as well.
It was January 2020. It's in January in 2020 where pandemic hit, and then all the borders were closed. So I was working in one of the, like I mentioned before, 5-star resorts in Bhutan, and I was still working there. And then after return from my yoga teacher training on January, and then on March, the first COVID cases came out here in Bhutan, and then all the borders were closed, and our country went into lockdown for the first time. And from that, those who were working in the hospitality sectors kind of was not having jobs. We didn't have to go to work. And then I was like, that really gave me the courage and to open up a studio. Then I felt, oh, I have a training, right? And then I think this is the right time to share my knowledge and experience and to my family, friends, to wider range of audience so that people can benefit out of it. So I was quite nervous as well, very nervous. I never thought I would become a yoga teacher. I went for my own self-practice. But then coming back, it was such a blessing in disguise that I could step out from my comfort zone. And then I couldn't even believe myself that I could teach others because I didn't have that confidence in me. And then slowly I opened a small studio with the help of friends, especially with my friend and a family and my mentor. Then gradually I started teaching small groups, then bigger groups, and then people from all walks of life, both national and international as well.
Since you said that you're teaching people from all walks of life, I'm wondering, are there maybe more men or women in your classes, or younger people, older, or is the community as a whole just so receptive to yoga that you truly have all ages and a huge diverse representation?
Well, I would say that I started out with a more number of women in my studio, and then, like everywhere around the world, Bhutan still have that stigmatization, or the stereotype thing that yoga is only for women, not for men. They were not really open up. I would say like they were receptive, but not really opening up to thing like yoga. Like it's more of like feminine thing. They thought moving your body is such a boring thing or something like that. But I started out with the women mostly, and then still gradually men started to show up as well, calling me up. They would like to take my yoga classes. And then, I would say that now slowly men are like opening up themselves, and then they're willing to take classes. But also that's what I'm educating, when I try to educate people on daily basis, right? Whatever content I post on social media or to whomever I talk, I always make sure that people understand that yoga is for all, right? Both men and women, both male and female, old or young, doesn't matter. It's yoga is for all. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Beautiful. I love that you're doing that. And it's such important work to shine light on. Yoga is for everybody and it doesn't have any limitations. If you can breathe, you can do yoga. That is the standard. So if somebody is listening to this podcast today, they're thinking of opening their own studio, what advice do you have for them? Because I know that's such a big decision, and I'm sure you learned some things along the way that some of our listeners could benefit from.
Through my own experience, I would say that if you are ever thinking of opening up a studio, just open up, just do it. Like just start small. I would say always start small, right? You can have a smaller space. Maybe like you can start out in your own apartment, maybe turn one room into yoga room and just start teaching one or two people, right? The people whom you feel comfortable with. Then you can slowly from there, you will get confidence. You'll learn more through teaching. So these are the few things I would advise people who are thinking of opening up a studio. Just start small and start teaching people who you feel comfortable. And then slowly you'll gain the confidence and it will open up the way to you.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And I know it takes such courage and bravery to step into that and say, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to open that and go out on a limb. Was there anything that you realized you wish you would have done differently?
No, I don't really think that. I would say I always take all these things as an experience, as a journey. That's a part of my life. That's the story of my life. That makes us who I am today. Even the mistakes or even the good decisions I've made, everything becomes the part of my life and a story that I can tell people. So I don't have any regrets, or I wish that I've done something differently.
Love it. Oh, own that. Own that. That's beautiful. And so maybe it's a good point to ask you as well, what is a powerful lesson that you think yoga has taught you, or a gift that yoga has given you?
Wow. Yeah, that question. This question always overwhelms me because there's so many things in my head that yoga itself is a gift for me. And then more than that, through yoga practicing, what I've learned more is people always feel that, oh, then I think you're practicing yoga a lot. Maybe you can do headstand, handstand, or do something like that. These are the things people feel that you're learning through yoga. But what I've learned over the years while practicing yoga is that I've become more of reflective person than reactive person. And I'm so happy that I'm this person right now. And then I'm still working on. I'm still not there yet, but I'm feeling the change in my life slowly and gradually. I used to be very reactive to anything. I think most people do that. The small thing or anything really bothered me, or I get bothered easily. But now what I do is whatever things are happening to me, like good or bad, I always try to reflect a little bit and then I react. Otherwise, if it doesn't require my attention or reaction, then I don't react at all.
Perfect. Yeah, I also agree that one of my kind of mottos or mantras is respond, don't react.
Yeah.
And yoga is so great at teaching us that pause.
Yeah.
Instead of just immediately rushing into an emotion, like there's so much in yoga that teaches you to be more mindful and slow and take a moment, take what you need to transition from maybe being silent into reacting to a situation. Just how can you respond better to that? And I love your word reflective, taking time to think about what you'd actually want to express, maybe.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. And so how do you actually define yoga? What's your personal definition?
Yeah. Yoga, like you have mentioned before, it's not only what you practice on the mat, right? It's like how you carry off the mat as well. Yoga applies to all the small thing, like for example the way you walk, the way you talk to people, the way you think, right? The action you take, its consequences, that everything, the small things, the yoga philosophy, it applies to all. So that's how I would define yoga. It's not only what I practice asanas or sitting on the mat, but it's like how you carry off the mat.
Perfect. I love that. And it's such a good thing to remind everyone of, that it's not just what happens on the mat. It is how you interact with others. It's how you mentally think as well about yourself. That self-talk is so important too. And I think yoga helps you to hear those internal elements, those subtler energies. And in the stillness and the quiet that yoga brings, it gives you time to listen to the internal world instead of the external world. That's something I love about it.
Yes.
So, as well, some of our listeners might not know very much about Bhutan. Would you share with them kind of more about your country and just pretend somebody's never heard about it before?
Bhutan. It's a very small country. It's a small country nestled between China and India. And we are a Buddhist kingdom, and we still have the king and then queen. And we are a constitutional monarchy. We have monarchy and we are democracy. Our country is all mountainous. You'll see a beautiful mountains, and then like most of our countries are covered with forest, and I would say deep valleys, like scattered population and settlement people. We have so many beautiful hiking destinations here in Bhutan. The best place to hike, yeah, in Bhutan. And there are so many fresh streams, rivers, I would say that, and beautiful lakes, so many small and big lakes here in Bhutan.
Wonderful. And is there a lot of tourists? Is it a great place to come? Is there a certain season? Are there a lot of yoga retreats there? Are you organizing them?
That's a really great question. Yeah, we get a lot of tourists here in Bhutan. And yeah, I would say it depends on you, right? There are like seasons that you can say, like maybe like spring season, that is March, April, May, and somewhere in autumn, that is August, September, October, and November. These are the seasons where tourists mostly visit in Bhutan, because that time the weather is very beautiful, right? You could have the green valleys, less rain, like less cold. But I would say that if you like winter, you can visit even in winter as well, if you like to see like the snow or do something. And yes, there are so many hotels and resorts here. They organize yoga retreats. But for me, I would definitely do in future. I'd really love to do that yoga retreat Bhutan in future, but I'm not ready yet.
Oh yeah, organizing a retreat is the big deal. So I would love that it's on the goal list, but I know it does take so much time and energy and planning. So good to know. So if any of our listeners today wanted to get in touch with you, had a question, or wanted to learn more even about your service project, what is a good way for them to do that?
If viewers are interested to know more about my social project and then my yoga here in Bhutan, you can kindly follow me on Instagram, that is at Yoga Yangchen Bhutan, and my social cause and on Instagram at Doghouse Bhutan. And then I'm on Facebook as well, that is Yoga Yangchen and Doghouse. So kindly connect at me via these social media handles.
Wonderful. So I'll also put all of those links in the show notes. So if you're listening and you just want to click a quick link, you can go in the show notes and you'll find them there, as well as on my website, wildyogatribe.com/yoga in Bhutan. You can find a transcript of this podcast so you can read along, and you'll find all of Yangchen's links and more information as well. So you can head over there too. So Yangchen, is there anything else you wanted to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Thank you once again, Lily. It was a pleasure being on your podcast and to be able to share my experience and to be able to share my experience with people all around the world. And also, if people are listening to this podcast, if you're deciding to visit Bhutan one day, just don't hesitate. Please do not hesitate to connect me so I can give you some guidance on when to visit Bhutan, what to do here in Bhutan, or I can put you in touch with a local travel agents, or I could help you in that way.
Wonderful. So thank you so much, Yangchen, for being on the show with me today. It's been just such a joy to be with you.
Thank you so much, Lily. It was a pleasure having me here once again.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. My conversation with Yangchen Lhamo, a yoga teacher and studio owner from Bhutan, was so delightful as we discussed how yoga is not just what you practice, but how you walk, talk, and interact with others. I hope that this conversation lit a spark in you about how yoga can help all sentient beings. If you're looking to tune into a podcast episode that's all about yoga as an act of service, then this is the conversation for you. Thank you for listening to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Be well. Thank you for the gift of your attention today. If you feel called, please share this episode with someone who you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. I also hope you can join me online on my website, wildyogatribe.com, or on social media. I would love to get to know you better. I would love to share with you and to hear your thoughts. Send me a DM, send me a note, get in touch. It would be great to hear from you. And as always, be well, dear one, be well.